Welcome to Choosing to Wait TV, where we believe waiting is best and we want to encourage you to not have sex until you're married. So my name is Ijele, I'm your host, and welcome to today's show. So today I'm going to be talking about 5 reasons, 5 ways that having premarital sex can affect your brain. So let's get started.
When I can't see my way, Father, I need.
Reason number 1. Studies have shown that teenagers and young people who have sex are more likely to be depressed than their virgin friends. Girls are 3 times more likely to be depressed than their virgin friends, and guys, or young men, boys are 7 times more likely to be depressed after having sex than their virgin friends. Wow, that's serious. Young men and women who also have sex before they're married are more likely to commit suicide. Again, teen girls are 3 times more likely to commit suicide, and young boys are 7 times more likely to commit suicide. Reason number 2. As you all probably have heard me talk about in previous videos, when you have sex with someone, you're giving them your whole self, your whole person, and it's impossible to have sex with someone without giving your spirit, your body, and your mind. So every person you have sex with, you leave a little piece of yourself with them, and it's also proven scientifically that when you have sex with someone, as a woman you release oxytocin chemicals, as a man you release vasopressin chemicals, and you create a chemical bond with that person. And so you have a bond with every person you have sex with, and you create a spiritual tie with them, a soul tie with them, not only spiritually but physically. So that's another way how having premarital sex can affect your brain. That's why after having sex is so hard, many individuals experience a longing for the other person. It's so hard to break off from the other person because you created a connection that's deeper than what you think it is or what you may know it to be. It's psychological, it's spiritual, it's physical, and it's now science has proven that there is a bond that happens when you do have sex with an individual. So that's reason number 2. Reason number 3. When an individual jumps from one person to another as far as having sex, it makes it harder for them to have a monogamous relationship or a long-term relationship. It makes it harder for them to have a successful marriage. And those individuals who do engage in a lot of sexual partners are at risk for divorce. They have a higher percentage of divorce than those who have not. So there are a lot of things that happen, with having sex before you're married. But what happens is when you have sex with multiple partners, it becomes a lifestyle. So your brain and your mind adopt that as normal. And so if you ever want to settle down with just one person and get married, it makes it harder to have that long-term, deep relationship because you're used to jumping from one person to another. And I've heard this example before. It's just like when you have, let's say you have a new piece of tape and you put the tape on the ground, right? It sticks well, you don't have any issues. But let's say you take the tape off the ground and try to stick it on the floor again, and take it off the ground and try to stick it on the floor again. After a while, the tape loses its strength, it loses its stickiness, it loses its vitality. And that's kind of what happens when you jump from one sex partner to another. You're losing the ability to really be able to stick close, to have that long-term monogamous relationship, to develop that deep intellectual marriage that a lot of us desire. So it's advisable that you just wait. Reason number 4. So once you have sex with someone, it makes it easier to continue that pattern, that lifestyle, because that is what you impressed upon in your brain. So it's easier to have it again and again and again and again. And a lot of people say once you open that door, it's hard to close it. And even though it sounds very cliche, like duh, of course, if you have it one time, you're gonna want to have it again and again. But it's also a mental thing too. When you have sex, the synapses, which are, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, which are the ways your brain cells or neurons communicate. When you have sex, you're building those synapses to have sex. And so the synapses that tell your brain to wait to have sex are kind of weaken and deteriorate. And the other ones that say, oh, I want to have sex, become stronger, and those urges become stronger, and it just makes it easier to continue the pattern. And once you're into the pattern, it makes it hard to stop. So that's why a lot of people that I've talked to always suggest just hold on, and then just wait until marriage. And even though it's not always easy, there's so many things that you just keep yourself from if you just practice abstinence and celibacy. Reason number 5. So having sex in a relationship, especially when you're not married, can kind of thwart your decision making about a person. It may be harder to assess a person because you, as I've said before, you've created that chemical bond and that longing for the person. So for example, there may be verbal abuse in the relationship or physical abuse, but it makes it harder to leave that relationship because of the bond that was created, the intimacy that was created. And that intimacy was only supposed to be in marriage to bring husband and wife together. But when you do it outside of marriage, it also creates that bond too. However, sometimes it can kind of thwart the way you reason about someone or maybe assess someone. Maybe there are a lot of red flags in that relationship, but it makes it, when you have sex with them, it makes it so hard to leave. And it's harder to leave and harder to just throw away the relationship or, walk out of the relationship. So be careful about that. Opening that door of intimacy can really keep you from being able to assess who the person really is. And it'll be a sad thing if you're in a relationship and your whole relationship is just built on sex and not, other things that make a relationship well-rounded. And God forbid you get married and you're in a relationship and you realize that the only thing that we had going was sex. There are a lot of other things in a relationship outside of that, even though that is a wonderful thing to have in marriage. That's it for today's show. I just wanted to talk about the 5 ways having premarital sex can affect your brain. And this is all scientifically proven to be true. I'll put the book that I'm reading in the description box below so you all can read it too and have a look. I found the book so interesting. I love the book. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for watching another episode of Choosing to Wait. I hope you guys have a wonderful day.